If these are their special forces, what happens when the army arrives? The galaxy had long believed that humans were weak. In the eyes of alien empires, Earth was a young world with no great fleets, no long history of war among the stars, and no position of power. To the Velkari Empire, the strongest among them, humans were nothing more than a small problem to be solved quickly. They decided to send their special forces, a unit so feared that even hardened alien soldiers whispered their name with unease. Wherever these forces landed, resistance always ended. Entire planets had surrendered without firing a single shot once the Velkari special forces arrived. To the Velkari, Earth would be no different. The skies over Earth darkened as alien ships cut through the atmosphere. Their massive carriers hovered above cities, projecting shadows over skyscrapers, rivers, and crowded streets. The people of Earth looked up, fear spreading across their faces as strange lights flickered in the clouds. The special forces descended with precision, armored figures stepping out with their advanced weapons that glowed with deadly energy. The sound of their machines echoed like thunder, shaking the ground and making windows shatter. The Velkari soldiers moved as if victory was already theirs, confident that no human could stop them. But humanity had prepared. For years, governments had quietly watched the stars, suspecting that one day Earth would face an enemy beyond its world. They had built secret programs hidden from the public eye, advanced technology developed in hidden bases, and defense systems buried deep underground. While the Velkari believed humans were disorganized and weak, Earth's leaders had united in silence, waiting for the day they would be tested. As the special forces marched through a silent city, something unexpected happened. The streetlights flickered and then the entire city went dark. The aliens paused for a moment, their glowing visors cutting through the night scanning for movement. Then came the first strike. From the rooftops, small drones launched into the air, swarming with deadly speed. They were human-made, compact and fast, designed to bypass alien shields. They dived straight at the Velkari units, exploding on impact. The first alien squad was thrown across the street, their formation broken, their confidence shaken. The people watching from their homes gasped. For the first time, they saw the invaders stumble. Humanity was fighting back. Soldiers in hidden positions opened fire with railguns, weapons far beyond what the Velkari expected from such a primitive species. Bullets were useless, but these weapons fired streams of magnetic energy strong enough to pierce through alien armor. Alien shields flickered, broke, and then collapsed as explosions tore through their ranks. The Velkari commanders did not understand. This was supposed to be simple. Earth was supposed to surrender in fear, not fight like this. Reports filled their comms. Squads destroyed, ships targeted by missiles that flew faster than their systems could react. Satellites hacked by human code they could not decode. The special forces, the elite unit that had never failed, were facing an enemy unlike any they had ever seen. Above the planet, the alien carrier ships tried to maintain control. But even the skies were no longer safe. Hidden in Earth's orbit were human war satellites, silent until now. They came alive, firing beams of concentrated energy at the Velkari ships. Explosions lit up the heavens, small flashes that looked like stars dying. For the first time in centuries, the special forces sent to crush a world found themselves on the defensive. On the ground, human soldiers moved with determination. They were not stronger, they were not faster, but they were clever. Every street became a trap, every building a shield, every dark corner a danger for the aliens. The special forces had trained for war, but they had never trained to fight people who refused to break. Humanity did not surrender. Humanity adapted. In the silence of his command center, General Marcus Kane of Earth's Defense Command watched the reports come in. His jaw was set, his eyes cold. "They think this is our limit," he said quietly to his officers, "but they don't know what's coming." His words carried the weight of something hidden, something even more dangerous waiting behind the first wave of Earth's defense. The special forces pressed on, trying to reclaim control, but each step forward brought new resistance. In one city, humans hacked alien drones and turned them against their masters. In another, underground bunkers launched missiles that struck alien landing zones with devastating force. The Velkari soldiers began to hesitate, their once flawless discipline breaking as they realized that this was no easy victory. Across the galaxy, alien worlds tuned into the Velkari broadcasts, expecting to watch Earth's quick defeat. But what they saw instead shocked them. Images of Valkyrie soldiers falling, of alien carriers burning in orbit, of humans standing against impossible odds spread across the stars. For the first time, the galaxy saw that humanity was not weak. Humanity was dangerous. As the first night of the invasion ended, the Valkyrie special forces regrouped, shaken and uncertain. Their commanders whispered in fear, something they had never admitted before. If Earth could fight like this against their best soldiers, what would happen when the real human army arrived? The Valkyrie commanders had believed their special forces would crush Earth in hours. But hours had passed and the situation was nothing like they had predicted. Their elite troops were not walking through broken human armies. Instead, they were facing traps, ambushes, and strange weapons that they had never studied before. For the first time in their long history, the special forces had to fight harder than they ever imagined. In the ruined streets of New Shanghai, Valkyrie soldiers moved carefully between collapsed towers. The city had fallen silent as if abandoned, but the silence was not safety. Every step was dangerous. Human drones buzzed through the air like insects, darting from windows and exploding against armor. Snipers waited in shadows, striking with rail rounds that punched through shields before vanishing into the smoke. The special forces were trained to fight armies, but here, every man, woman, and machine became a soldier. Humanity had turned survival into a weapon. One squad pushed forward, their boots cracking glass, when suddenly the pavement beneath them exploded. Hidden charges buried in the road tore through their formation, scattering bodies and fire across the street. From the rooftops, human fighters appeared for only seconds, firing quick bursts before disappearing again. The aliens fired back with precision, but their shots hit only walls and shadows. The humans were not standing in lines. They were ghosts. The Valkyrie leader in the sector, Captain Arvek, growled in frustration. He had fought on 20 worlds, leading his special forces to countless victories. But here, nothing worked as it should. "This is not war," he hissed into his comms. "This is chaos." Yet deep inside, he feared that this chaos was exactly what made humans so dangerous. Above Earth, the Valkyrie fleet tried to maintain control. They sent dropships to reinforce their ground forces, but human missiles streaked upward from hidden launchers, striking the ships before they could land. A carrier attempted to jam Earth's signals but was suddenly hacked. Human code, fast and unpredictable, infected their systems. Screens flickered, orders turned into noise, and drones turned on their masters. One alien officer shouted in horror as his own machines gunned down his squad. Meanwhile, on the ground, humanity's resistance grew bolder. Civilians joined the fight in unexpected ways. Engineers built improvised weapons from alien wreckage. Hackers spread programs across the networks, blinding Valkyrie helmets and scrambling their vision. Farmers in rural towns dug trenches and built traps, forcing alien patrols into deadly choke points. Everywhere, humanity proved that war was not only about weapons. It was about will, and the human will refused to break. In London, a Valkyrie unit attempted to capture the city center, hoping to make an example of the population. But when they advanced through the streets, they were ambushed from all sides. Molotov fires rained down from balconies, grenades rolled across the cobblestones, and rail rifles cracked in the night. One human fighter, barely more than a teenager, charged with a stolen alien weapon, firing wildly until the squad fell. His name was not known to the Valkyrie, but his courage inspired everyone who saw him. Across Earth, similar acts of defiance flared like sparks in the dark. From his command station, General Marcus Kane watched the unfolding battle. His officers reported heavy casualties, but also heavy victories. For every building the Valkyrie took, they lost squads of their best. For every street they entered, they left it burning behind them. Kane's voice was steady as he gave orders. "They believe we are only defending. Let them keep believing it. When the time comes, we strike where it hurts most." The Valkyrie tried to regroup, but panic began to spread. Their special forces were supposed to inspire fear, not suffer it. Yet everywhere, human defiance broke their confidence. They realized something that unsettled them deeply. Humanity did not fight like other species. Where others would surrender, humans resisted. Where others would hide, humans adapted. No matter how many fell, more rose to take their place. Across the galaxy, alien empires tuned into the Valkyrie broadcasts. What they saw was unthinkable. The special forces were slowed, damaged, bleeding in the streets of a young world. Whispers began in alien courts and councils. If the Velkari, the most feared empire in the stars, could not silence Earth quickly, then perhaps Earth was not weak at all. Perhaps Earth was something new, something dangerous. The night dragged on, fire and smoke rising from every continent. Velkari commanders pushed their troops harder, but doubt lingered in every order. Soldiers who once walked with pride now moved with caution, watching every shadow, expecting every wall to hide a weapon. Their elite unit was being tested in a way they had never expected, and the test was breaking them. As dawn broke across the planet, the special forces realized a terrifying truth. Humanity was not only surviving, humanity was winning, and this was only the beginning. The Velkari special forces were trained never to feel fear. They were the sharpest blade of the Empire, forged to bring victory in every battle. Yet on Earth, fear had begun to creep into their ranks. Reports came in from every continent, squads destroyed, dropships falling from the sky, and strange human weapons cutting through shields like they were paper. Still, the Velkari commanders told themselves this was only resistance, nothing more. They believed that humanity had shown its full strength. They were wrong. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a base carved into stone, humanity's greatest secret waited. The program had no public name, no mention in official records. It was simply called Project Horizon. For decades, Earth's brightest engineers and scientists had worked in silence, preparing for the day when humanity would face a war it could not win with ordinary weapons. They built something no alien expected, something that could change the course of the entire battle. As the Velkari pushed harder, the humans made their move. General Marcus Kane stood in the command center, the glow of monitors lighting his face. His officers reported that the Velkari fleet was regrouping above Earth, preparing for another massive strike. Kane knew this was the moment. If they failed now, humanity would fall. If they succeeded, everything would change. He gave a single command: release Horizon. The world above trembled as hidden hangars opened. From the Earth, massive platforms rose, lifting a ship unlike any the Velkari had ever seen. It was sleek, black as night, and shaped like a predator. The ship's engines hummed with a strange energy, bending light around its frame. It was not only a warship, it was a weapon that rewrote the rules of war. Its name was the Aegis. When the Velkari sensors picked up the launch, their commanders laughed. A human warship? Against us? They expected another fragile machine, something that would burn quickly in their guns. But as the Aegis rose into the sky, their laughter turned into silence. The ship vanished from their scanners. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Their systems could not track it. Their targeting computers could not lock on. The humans had built stealth far beyond anything the Velkari understood. Above the atmosphere, the Velkari fleet adjusted formation, weapons ready. Suddenly, a burst of energy split through space, tearing into the side of a carrier. The shields collapsed instantly as if they were never there. The Velkari ship erupted in flames, breaking apart as thousands of alien soldiers screamed into the void. Panic spread across the fleet. What weapon was that? One commander demanded. No one had an answer. On the ground, human soldiers cheered as they saw the burning wreck in the sky. For the first time, they realized Earth was not just surviving. Earth was fighting back with something greater. The Velkari special forces tried to regain control. They ordered orbital strikes on human positions, hoping to crush the resistance. But the Aegis was faster. It appeared like a shadow, unleashed a wave of energy, then vanished again. Every time the Velkari prepared an attack, their ships exploded. Their best commanders could not understand how such a young species had built something so advanced. The truth was simple. Humanity learned from every enemy they ever faced. They had studied the stars, broken down signals, stolen pieces of alien tech that fell to Earth years ago. Slowly, secretly, they built something new from fragments of the unknown. The result was a ship that carried the intelligence of 1,000 engineers and the fury of an entire world. In the streets of Paris, a Velkari captain watched the skies burning. His soldiers hesitated, their discipline cracking. He shouted for them to hold the line, but even he felt the fear rising in his chest. This was not supposed to happen. Special forces were supposed to terrify, not be terrified. But here on Earth, everything was upside down. General Kane's voice echoed across human comms. This is only the first step. The galaxy thinks Earth is weak. We will show them what happens when they attack us. His words carried like fire into the hearts of soldiers and civilians alike. Hope spread faster than fear, and everywhere humans pushed harder. They struck at Valkyrie positions, forcing them to retreat. They hacked more systems, destroyed more supply lines, and took back more cities. The special forces were losing control. High above in the Valkyrie command ship, their leaders finally admitted the truth. "This is no ordinary species," one officer whispered. "If this is their beginning, what happens when they truly unleash their armies?" The Valkyrie had never faced a world like Earth. They had never faced a people who turned weakness into strength, chaos into strategy, and survival into victory. And now, with the Aegis in the skies, the Valkyrie realized they were no longer the hunters. They were the hunted. As the third day of war ended, the Valkyrie fleet scattered into defensive positions. The special forces on the ground waited desperately for orders that never came. Humanity had shown its secret weapon, and with it they had changed the war forever. But in the silence of his command center, General Kane knew this was only the beginning. Because if the Valkyrie Empire was shaken by one ship, what would happen when Earth revealed the rest? The Valkyrie Empire had never known defeat at the hands of a young species. For centuries, their special forces had brought entire civilizations to their knees. Yet now on Earth, their best soldiers were bleeding in the streets, their strongest ships burning in the skies, and their proud commanders whispering fear behind closed doors. The war that was supposed to end in a day had stretched into nights of fire and chaos. And in those nights, humanity only grew stronger. General Marcus Kane watched the reports flooding into the Earth Defense Command. He saw images of alien troops retreating from ambushes, of captured Valkyrie drones turned against their masters, of cities that had refused to surrender, and instead became fortresses of resistance. Humanity's losses were heavy, but their spirit burned brighter than their fear. Kane knew the time had come. It was not enough to resist. Now humanity had to strike. Across Earth, orders were given. Hidden bases opened, revealing weapons and fleets the Valkyrie had never expected. The humans had saved their strongest forces for this very moment. The special forces had walked into a trap, and now the trap was closing around them. In the skies above Africa, the Aegis appeared again, tearing through another Valkyrie carrier with a single devastating shot. Smaller human warships emerged from hidden hangars, their engines roaring as they joined the fight. The Valkyrie fleet had numbers, but humanity had something the aliens did not understand: adaptability. Each human ship moved like it was alive, dodging fire, striking fast, retreating, then attacking again. The aliens fired in formation, but their beams struck empty space. The battlefield was no longer theirs. On the ground, the Valkyrie tried to push into Moscow, hoping to claim a major human stronghold. Instead, they were met with walls of fire. Human tanks rolled from underground garages, firing shells that shattered alien shields. Infantry used stolen alien rifles, turning their enemies' weapons against them. And from the skies, swarms of drones descended, each programmed to target Valkyrie armor with precision. The special forces, once invincible, found themselves trapped between human firepower and human determination. The Valkyrie commander in charge of the invasion, Lord Vayrith, raged aboard his flagship. He ordered orbital strikes to flatten human cities, but every time the fleet prepared to fire, the Aegis appeared, disrupting their systems and striking with deadly accuracy. His voice echoed across comms, desperate but furious. "This is impossible. They are nothing. They cannot fight us." But deep inside, even he began to doubt. Meanwhile, the galaxy watched. Broadcasts of the war spread far beyond Earth. Alien worlds who had once feared the Valkyrie now stared in shock. They saw humans dragging Valkyrie soldiers into alleys, destroying their machines, hacking their codes, and defeating them in battles that should have been hopeless. For the first time, empires whispered that the Valkyrie might not be unstoppable, and for the first time they whispered that Earth might be more dangerous than anyone imagined. In the ruined streets of New York, a squad of human fighters led by Captain Elena Torres captured a Valkyrie command post. She stood among the burning wreckage, her face streaked with ash as her soldiers raised a human flag above the rubble. The sight spread across the networks, filling human hearts with pride. The message was clear: Earth would not fall. General Kane's plan was simple but daring. He ordered coordinated strikes across the planet, not just to defend but to push the aliens back. Every human unit, from trained soldiers to civilians with rifles, joined the offensive. Valkyrie squads were cut off, isolated, and destroyed one by one. Every city became a battlefield, and every battlefield turned into a graveyard for the invaders. As the Valkyrie forces fell apart, their commanders sent desperate calls for reinforcements. But even those reinforcements hesitated. The special forces were supposed to be invincible. If they were failing, what chance did ordinary Valkyrie troops have? Fear spread through the Empire faster than orders could travel. In the skies, the decisive moment came. The Valkyrie fleet prepared for one last strike, gathering their largest ships to bombard Earth into submission. But humanity was ready. The Aegis led the counterattack, its weapons tearing through ship after ship. Human warplanes launched from hidden bases, striking at weak points the aliens never knew they had. Explosions lit the orbit like a second sunrise. Valkyrie ships fell, their debris raining down like burning stars. On the ground, alien soldiers began to retreat. Some tried to fight, but their formations broke apart. Others fled into their dropships, desperate to escape the planet that had turned into their nightmare. The special forces, once feared across the galaxy, were running. As the battle reached its peak, General Kane sent a message across all frequencies, human and alien alike. His voice was steady, filled with quiet power. You came to our world thinking we were weak. You came believing we would kneel, but you have learned the truth. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity fights. And if this is what we can do with only a fraction of our strength, imagine what happens when our true armies rise. The Valkyrie soldiers who heard the message felt a chill in their bones. For the first time in their long history, the special forces knew defeat. For the first time, humanity had taken the fight from survival to victory. The turning point had come. The galaxy would never see Earth the same way again. The war on Earth was supposed to be a display of Valkyrie power, a warning to all other species that resistance was useless. Instead, it became a warning of a different kind. When the Valkyrie special forces fled the battlefields of Earth, leaving behind their dead and their broken ships, a shock wave of fear spread through the galaxy. For the first time, the invincible had been defeated, and the ones who had defeated them were humans. News traveled fast. Alien worlds watched the last transmissions from Earth, where Valkyrie ships burned in orbit and their elite soldiers ran through ruined streets. Images of human fighters standing on captured alien tanks, of the Aegis cutting through fleets, and of ordinary civilians holding weapons against the strongest army in the galaxy spread like wildfire. In every council chamber, in every throne room, in every war hall of distant empires, leaders sat in silence as the truth sank in. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was dangerous. On a distant moon of the Krath Dominion, alien commanders studied the battle reports. One of them, a scarred general who had once fought against the Valkyrie, laughed bitterly. "We feared the wrong empire," he said. "It is not the Valkyrie we should watch. It is Earth." His words were repeated in whispers across 100 worlds. Meanwhile, the Valkyrie themselves faced humiliation they had never known. Their special forces limped back to their empire, broken and bloodied. Soldiers who had once inspired terror now avoided the eyes of their own people. Their commanders argued in shadows, blaming each other for the disaster. The Emperor himself demanded answers, but none were enough. The Valkyrie had built their empire on fear, and now that fear was crumbling. On Earth, humanity stood battered but unbroken. Cities lay in ruins, the cost of war was heavy. But their spirit burned brighter than ever before. General Marcus Kane walked through the command center, listening to the cheers of his soldiers. They had not only survived, they had won, and their victory meant more than the defense of one planet. It meant the awakening of a new power in the galaxy. At the United Earth Council, leaders from every nation spoke with one voice for the first time in history. They declared that Earth would no longer hide, no longer wait for others to decide its fate. They would build fleets. They would send ships to the stars, and they would make sure no empire ever threatened humanity again. Hope turned into resolve, and resolve turned into destiny. For ordinary people, the victory felt like a dream. Families who had hidden in shelters walked into the sunlight again. Survivors of ruined cities raised flags over the rubble. Children looked up at the night sky where burning debris still glowed, and knew that humanity had changed forever. They were no longer just people of one world. They were warriors of the stars. Across alien space, rulers debated what to do next. Some wanted to ally with humanity, to secure peace before it was too late. Others wanted to destroy Earth quickly, before humans could rise further. But all of them shared the same fear. If humanity could defeat Valkyrie special forces now, what would happen when their armies grew stronger? What would happen when their fleets stretched across the stars? In the Valkyrie court, whispers spread like fire. If these were only Earth's resistance fighters, one minister muttered, what happens when their true armies arrive? The Emperor said nothing, but his silence spoke louder than any words. He knew the answer. He feared it. Back on Earth, Kane stood on the balcony of the rebuilt Defense Command. His officers waited for orders, but for a moment he only looked at the horizon. He knew this was not the end. The Valkyrie would return, or some other empire would test them. The galaxy would not forget what had happened here, and humanity would never again be left alone. But Kane was not afraid. He had seen what humanity could do when united. He had seen soldiers fight with broken weapons, civilians turn ruins into fortresses, and engineers create machines that defied the laws of war. He had seen a species once dismissed as weak rise to face the strongest force in the galaxy, and win. His voice carried across the command center, firm and unshaken. We have shown them who we are. They thought we were prey. They thought we were fragile. But now they know the truth. Humanity fights. Humanity endures. And humanity will never bow. Those words echoed beyond Earth, carried on intercepted transmissions repeated by allies and enemies alike. They became the new legend of the stars, the day the Valkyrie special forces were defeated, and the galaxy realized that humanity's story had only just begun. As night fell on Earth, the world glowed with fires and stars. The people who had once only dreamed of the cosmos now knew it was their battlefield. The Valkyrie Empire had brought war to Earth, but in doing so, they had awakened something far greater. The galaxy trembled with a new question. What happens when humanity's true armies arrive?